Let's get the stream going so we can see if we need to work with our audio at all.
All right, you want to start local recording?
God damn, John, I'm glad you're here. I do want to start local recording. Let me, actually, I gotta get you on OBS first.
You are coming across very delayed for some reason.
I'm very delayed?
Yes.
Keep that. Okay. Let's start local recording in 3, 2, 1.
Sniff test.
You smell wonderful.
All right. Clap check. 3, 2, 1.
That was way off everywhere.
That's all right.
Hey, hold on.
All right.
Everybody be quiet for a second. Oh, yeah. See, we got echo on John's. We got echo on John's. And
No,
I'm
don't have
super
echo.
low on YouTube. How does that sound to everybody? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds loud.
All right. So, all right.
I know how to solve my echo.
How do you start? How do you start
just
solve your echo?
Just drop from the podcast.
All right, Thomas, you're echoing too. So let me switch. Let me.
So yeah, put us back onto 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
We are professionals.
We're trying.
Are we? Are we really trying? Okay. Checking everybody's audio again. John, you talk. Perfect. Thomas, you talk. Okay. Nope, no John. No Thomas. Oh, this is awesome. All right. Okay, hold on. Let's work through this here. All right. Oh, right. Let me do that so you guys can laugh at me. This one. Actually, that's funny. There's no balance for you guys either. Hey, hold on. Not for you guys. No, I'm using it for me. But that's it. Turning up that gain. No, that's not how we've been doing it. Hey, hold on. I gotta turn this off. Let's mute this for a second. There's too many things, too many people talking. All right, one more time here. You have no balance. Neither one of you guys do. Not here, anyways. So go to one day. See what this does. All right, let's see what this does for a second.
That doesn't make any sense. Don't do that.
It has to make some sense. Thomas, you talk.
Check, check, 1, 2. Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tom.
All right. Tom, you talk.
I talked already. What do you want me to say? Hey, can you hear me? I guess you were right.
Oh, you can hear you?
Yeah.
Can you hear Thomas?
Yep. Yep.
Are we echoing?
I didn't hear any echo.
Hello, potato.
All right. Well, whatever. It works. Yeah, no echo. It works. It doesn't have to make sense, man. Doesn't have
It's
to
got
make sense.
but it does have to be ugly.
It's always ugly. There's no way for it not to be ugly. All right, let me get the Trello board going. We already did our clap check, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get the show on the road. Only 6 minutes late today. That's awesome. Okay. All right, I got a special something for the intro today. Let's see, notes. Come on, notes. All right. Okay, are you guys ready?
I was born ready? Maybe.
Okay. You're listening to episode 163 of what Player FM rates the #1 tech podcast, and this completely unaltered, sort of Sharpie looking font website that they have up. I am your host, Eric Van Johnson. With me are my good friends, Thomas Rideout.
Hello. Did you crank your
Yeah.
gain up right before you
Yeah.
started talking?
Yeah, it is super overmodulated.
Like you just destroyed it. You were talking
Yeah.
totally normally, and then you decided to start.
How about
Hello. Yeah, that's normal.
But on the stream, it was horrible. You could barely hear me on the stream.
You do sound very overmodulated.
Let's
Just
not
saying.
get started on this again. Do I still sound overmodulated?
But you're talking normally now. You're not doing announcer voice.
Oh,
If you
Alright,
could do
fine.
announcer
So you have
voice,
to-
just back up a little bit.
You want to turn
Right.
the gain down a little bit more, and then you'll be perfect.
Wait. And my other good friend, John.
Well, start it over.
No, I did my bit, man. I can't start it over. You want me to start it over with the bit and everything?
Yes.
Alright. Should I keep the gain down to here? Is this good?
Yeah.
A little lower.
A little lower would be better.
How about right there? Is that good?
That didn't change anything at all.
Oh, I went the wrong way, actually. How about now?
That's way better.
That's perfect.
Perfect. Okay. But like I said, if you go listen to the stream, I don't.
Nope.
I'm
Nobody
way
does that.
off.
Yeah, he is accurate on the stream. It sounds way better than it does to us.
And when I edited the podcast last week, it was just John and I
Do
had
you-
to turn mine way up because John.
Do you have
was
the same
struggling.
audio source on Skype as you do going into OBS?
Good question. Hope
It
so.
sounds fine on the stream.
Yeah, it's weird. But I don't want to listen to that all night.
Yeah, you sound great. Leave it alone.
Okay.
Just make sure Skype isn't auto throttling your levels again.
Yeah. No, I turned that off. You got me questioning about my OBS. I'm not worried about it. It's fine. If you say it's fine, it's fine. All right. You want me to do the whole thing over again?
Yeah, do the visual gag again.
Okay. I don't know if I can do it with the same enthusiasm now. You're listening to episode 163 of what Player FM rates the #1 tech podcast, according to this completely unaltered screenshot of their website with some, I don't know, Sharpie-looking fonts. I am your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me are my good friends, Thomas Rideout.
Hello. You
And
still got a
John.
good laugh out of me.
You left more the first time.
Well, you shouldn't have done it twice. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, man. Hey, I turned off my camera. What happened there? Oh, there we go. Gentlemen.
Professionals.
You have to introduce John too.
He did. I talked right over him.
Oh, perfect.
Because I am a professional. Duh.
We've resorted to sight gags now. That's where I'm at with my life. I'm just trying to make people laugh with trendy current news sight gags.
We have a client who altered a photo kind of like that, and Eric's like wasn't getting it at first, and then it all came rushing in. It was a picture of Trump standing next to Melania where she's got her arm straight down, and then somebody drew in with Sharpie her hand over to his hand.
So I figured we needed to be in. Yeah, I mean, granted, maybe it is, a journey to an alternative reality, but I'm sure in some reality we're the #1 podcast. I like to think.
Yeah, just an alternate universe, right?
Exactly. Right? I mean,
Yeah, we're doing great.
Keep turning off the camera. I'm trying to get the blur going like Thomas. Can't get my
You
blur
can't.
going.
You can't on the laptop. You don't have the right graphics card.
Yes, I do.
Oh, look at that.
You can't on the trash.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Man.
So
Everyone,
Thomas,
good look at my.
John got
Yes,
a
sir.
external GPU as well, and he has confirmed that Rocket League has never been so smooth for him.
Really? I'm surprised to even hear you say the words Rocket League.
He bought a controller just so he could try it.
I bought a controller based on a recommendation of who I thought was a friend, but I have not tried it. I haven't ventured yet.
I brought my controller a couple times because when I was using his, it kept disconnecting in the middle of the game, which is super annoying.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, that's not how you're supposed to play those games?
No, not usually.
Yeah, I don't get it then. But yeah, so we got we both have little Steam. Matter of fact, I got mine here at the office. Both have little Steam controllers now. We just have to find a game worth playing. I mean, like a good one, like a real game worth playing. Does this work with Fortnite? Or Fortnite isn't on Steam, huh? What was it?
No, it's not.
TF2 is what I used to play. TF2.
Well, it's just a controller. I'm sure it works in things other than Steam.
You think?
I'm not sure that it does, actually.
No? Huh. I'm not a
No,
gamer. I don't know.
Google released their controller. You can buy.
Yeah, it's
you can buy
dumb.
controllers or Google's. How can you say it's dumb? It hasn't even been released yet. Has the platform even been released?
It's part of their whole Stadia thing,
Right.
the streaming service. And I actually just got on Epic's streaming service today to try it out, because I got into the beta program, the load testing stuff. Boy, terrible, just unplayable.
Oh, is Epic going to be on Stadia?
We don't really know yet. Probably not, but it'll be hard to figure out. But it's those streaming services. They're just going to be awful. Every single one of them.
Okay. So, I was just looking for my phone, and I had it in my pocket. I'm like, why am I sitting at my desk with my phone in my pocket? I'm like, I never do that, right? And I remembered why I've been keeping it in my pocket. Speaking of toys around the office, I got a new toy that came in today. Check this out. Hold on one second.
Oh, it got there today?
Yeah. We got a one wheel.
You're
And I've been
kidding
learning-
me.
I've been
You're
learning how to-
kidding me.
How many times have you fallen?
I've been learning
How
how
many-
to ride
wait.
it.
How many holes are in our walls?
This is why I had the phone on me. I'm like, if I fall and break my leg, I'm not gonna crawl back to my desk.
Oh.
So we have an official here. Let me,
I guess I will be in the office tomorrow. I wasn't planning on it, but
we have an official one wheel. Oh, this thing is so much fun.
did you get up on it?
I rode around the office.
Are they
I'm
like
not-
$600?
No, like $3,000. What are you talking about? $600?
Yeah, it was like 2,200 is what it was.
Oh my god.
But the thing goes like 20 miles an hour, and you can go,
Fucking
like,
better.
20 miles. So like every time we need to go get an Everbowl now, you just hopping on the one wheel and you're just starting over there.
You want to know something funny though? You put it
So-
back there, and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, why is there a Skype logo on the one wheel? It's
Oh,
just where you placed it.
just getting superimposed on there.
Yeah, I was very confused for a second.
It's the
So,
same
yeah.
price as a car. I mean, this is the price of a used car.
A very small used car, maybe, sure. But they're nowhere near as fun. Dude, it is so much fun. I can actually stand on it and cruise. What's trippy, so there's no remote to it. You kind of lean forward, go forward, you lean back, you lean, you go straight up and down, and it kind of stops and hovers. Not hovers, but just stops. Then if you lean back, you go, that becomes forward, right? So it has lights, white lights, and red lights. So whatever direction it's going, the white lights go up front and the red lights go behind you, and so you go back and forth, the lights change. And that's one of the hardest things to get used to. It's like, because like you start leaning forward, and if you feel yourself going too fast, your instinct is to lean back, but then you just start going the other direction.
My instinct is to get nowhere near this thing. That is just
Oh,
dangerous.
What is wrong
So-
with you? I can't wait.
Somebody's gonna hurt themselves. I can almost feel it. I tell
Yeah.
you what, man, if they had things like this when I was a kid, oh, forget about it, man. Life would have been awesome. This thing is
It's-
fantastic. What don't
I,
you like about it?
I mean,
what
it's
is it-
clearly the purchase of a company that does not cover healthcare.
Yet.
That's an interesting topic. We may have to revisit that topic actually.
I was gonna
Uh,
bring it up tonight.
yeah,
Talk about
let me-
stressful. Jeez.
So this is what we have. We have the One Wheel XR.
See, that's the toy that you got. This is the toy I got.
You're all
It's all
blurry.
blurry.
You have nothing but blur there. Nope,
Still blurry.
Still blur.
Yep.
You need
Using
to turn your
Skype's
blur,
blur.
off. You-
So it's a blood pressure monitor is what it was.
Yes, it is a blood pressure monitor.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I was just
like-
guessing.
trying to make a fun. Hey, you're an old guy. You got a blood pressure monitor. Thomas is like, yep.
Yeah, it is.
I've got 3 of them. So
Yeah, I got sick and went to the doctor, and the doctor did my blood pressure and went, "Huh, that can't be right." So,
That's usually not.
Now-
good. Look, wait. Let me go just for a second.
Uh,
Let's just go back over here for a second. Look how much fun these people. They're off-roading. They're going down the street. They're on the beach. I mean, look how awesome this thing is. This is so awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
all right,
I
time,
can't. I
go
can't
back
see what
Thomas,
could
huh?
possibly go wrong here.
time to start a whole food plant-based diet there, kiddo.
amazingly enough, yes. I will be changing my diet. I will be working out in the mornings, and I will be selling one of my children.
Well,
Why?
how does that factor into it?
Well, stress is post one of those things that raises your blood pressure.
Kids can be stressful, can't they?
Oh my God. My son turned 17 years old today, and I can't wrap my head around what that means.
It means he's 17.
That means in a year he goes to big boy prison.
Right. As far as like maturity and responsibility and stuff goes, that jump to 17 from 16, I'm like freaking out now. I'm like, oh my God, he's his own problem now. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. I can just tell him it's his problem to deal with.
Doesn't exactly.
Yeah, let me know how that works out.
Gotten quite good at it, actually. You know what day today is, guys?
Of course. It's PHP Podcast Day.
Not just that, it's the 256th day of the year, which means it's International Programmers Day.
No way. Is it really?
Yes, it is.
It's the only reason we're scheduled to record tonight. That's the way I figure it.
So what have you guys been up to? What have you been working on? What have you been doing?
Oh, where do we start? We had a meetup last night.
I saw that.
Yeah, I gave the presentation and crashed and burned pretty hard. It was fun.
You didn't exactly burn. You
I
moved away
crashed.
from it.
This is TDD 101.
Yeah, it was practice for PHP World coming up next month, and I'm
good.
so happy I did it. Talked to my wife, and I told her I rated it like a 6 out of 10, and she goes, "Wow, I thought you did so good," because I did the presentation in front of her the night before. I was like, the beginning part, I would probably give an 8 out of 10, and then I went to a live demo, which I'd give like a 2 or 3 out of 10.
No,
It was
I
so
think
bad.
Live
I
demos
think
are
the
going to
live demo-
bite you in the ass every
Yeah.
time.
I'm not doing it at PHP World. I'm ripping that out of there. For sure.
At Wave, I saw a live demo crash and burn in the middle of one of the talks, and it's rough.
It
hard.
was. I just did a kata for a bowling game or bowling scoring,
Mhm.
and like I had written it a couple different ways prior, and I'm like, it's a live demo. I'll just get in there and I'll start throwing some code together. I can whatever my initial talk takes, I can fill the gap with a live demo, and I don't have to finish it because it's a kata. It's just kind of showing pieces of TDD, and man, there are parts where I just kind of froze, like not knowing what I should go to next. It
Yeah,
was bad.
that'll.
I don't think it was that bad. I
Oh.
mean, there were delays, but I don't think anybody thought you froze.
Oh, I definitely froze. It was bad.
My GraphQL presentation was similar, except I had rehearsed it probably 10 times that week, and then it had also been delayed by 3 months because of inclement weather.
Mm-hmm.
So I had so much extra time to work on it, and I still locked up in the middle of it at several points.
Yeah. And this is one of those things that doesn't need a live demo, so that's, like I said, it's coming out.
Now I've got my tickets for PHP World. I've got everything ready to go. So
Awesome.
it's going to be a reunion of the ugly in Washington.
Looking forward to it. And since you already know TDD, you don't have to go to my talk. You can go to some other talk. Perfect.
I will 100% be at your talk.
Thanks.
I'll have a Nerf gun and I'll shoot you with it every time you freeze up.
Oh, that would be awesome. I was actually gonna bring Eric into it, like have a cue. I had something funny to say, and he was supposed to ask me about something on the slide, but I didn't go forward with it.
Oh,
I was gonna.
that'd be part of the show.
I was gonna have something in there about me being the world's best programmer with an asterisk there, and you were supposed to ask me what that meant, and it was like, oh, that's me in my mind or something stupid. And I was like, nah, it's too corny. I'm gonna bail.
It's a good thing you didn't put that in there.
And Eric's tough to rely on. You never know if his microphone's working or not.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a tendency to go off script though.
Just
I
Trump
want to know if
things
you
up a
would
little
understand the
bit.
cue. Yeah. No, that was your cue. You're supposed to talk now. Where are you at? Come on, Eric. But yeah, there was that. That was one of the things. One of the big topics I got to talk about, and it was getting to deal with a SQL injection attack.
Mm,
That's never fun.
yeah.
So that was the stressful part of last week. Did we talk about it on last week's show? We did.
Yeah,
So
we did.
we can move on. Oh, the other stressful thing. I'm going to cut you off real quick. You had already mentioned it. We may have to be changing our business around a little bit with the new laws here in California. AB5 reclassifying. Yeah, they're reclassifying independent contractors, mostly
Is
to
it
target
AB
Uber
or
and
EB? I think it's EB.
AB. No, AB.
AB?
Assembly Bill 5.
Oh, man.
They,
Yeah.
they, so they're doing it to target big companies like Uber and Lyft. They don't want them classifying the drivers as independent contractors. But it's such a broad bill, and it's not clear. So we may have employees here soon.
Whether they want to be employees or not.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you've got Pro Systems on your side fighting for never employing anybody.
Yeah. Well, it's already passed the Senate, and the governor's already expressed support for it, so I'm sure he's going to sign it.
Mm.
And it's weird. When you start reading the bill, you can tell where the lobbyists are, because in there was like commercial fishermen are exempt until 2023. Manicurists are exempt until 2022. But the bill goes in. But the bill goes into effect 2020. Like, so random and weird. Yeah.
So we're going to recategorize all of our contractors as manicurists.
Well, hey, and you get your toes done once a week. That's nice.
That's right. You know, what could be wrong? It's a win-win the way I see it.
Don't forget the foot massage while you're there.
So
Yeah,
I got a
has me
ticket
stressed
today.
out. We may need to engage some actual legal counsel on that, because
Yeah.
that really changes a lot.
I was telling my wife about it, and I just felt my stress levels go up.
And what's interesting is that one of the things John touched on in his talk yesterday was the fact that doing test-driven development has a tendency to add to timelines, what you add to costs, and this and that and the other thing. And the reason why we have the business model we have is we try to reduce those costs as much as possible by not having employees that we have to guarantee salaries and vacations and health insurance too. But it's one of the techniques we're using to kind of help keep our rates as low as we can. And we still, I mean, just as a matter of fact, just today found out that we had lost in a proposal, and the specific reason we lost, they said to us, they're like, hey, you came in higher than a lot of the other proposals. And I love John's response to it. Is like, well, for starters, we're trying to be honest with you and give you a realistic number of what we think it's going to take to get the work done. We also include tests, and we make sure all of our code is tested. And it's just like, if we have to now jack up our rates because we're going to have employees and we have to have all this other overhead, I don't think we'll ever get another contract, man.
Well, the part you're talking about in my presentation about doing TDD is super important, and if you get used to doing it, you won't want to code without it. But at the same time, you have to factor that into when you bid on a contract. So if you are your own business going out to find clients, your bids may come in higher because you're trying to do the right thing. Make sure you try to convey that to said client, but end of the day, they often don't care, and they want to pay as little as they can.
And PHP World is targeting a lot of the independent contractors as well that want to hear that kind of information too, don't they?
They get developers in general, not necessarily independent. But I think it's
I
good.
I thought there was a business track.
Maybe. Anyway, Thomas, you were about to talk about your week. What was going on with you?
Well, the interesting thing is today I got my ticket for upgrading to Laravel 6.
You got your ticket.
You
oh,
got
your
a
support
task,
ticket?
right?
The task, the work order.
That's the, you didn't have to buy a ticket to do that, right, Thomas? You could just do it.
No. What we did buy is a shift. So we shifted from 5.8 to 6. But I've run into an interesting problem.
Do tell. I actually have a similar scenario, so I'd like to hear what yours is first.
A lot of our packages that we depend on, one might call them dependencies, I suppose, are scoped for the 5.star branch of Laravel. And were abandoned in, let's say, 5.4, but still functioned in 5.8 because they didn't touch anything that got broken, so they just kept working. Mm-hmm. And the things that changed in 6 are not very backwards compatible breaking.
Right.
But the number did break backwards compatibility all over the place for me.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the problem I had.
So I counted up 4 packages that I have, four dependencies that simply state abandoned on the page now, on the GitHub page.
Mm. So I was fortunate.
I'm stuck on some of this stuff.
You can still
just take the package.
That's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to end up forking this over to our private repo and then dealing with it from there.
Well,
but
don't even fork
why
it to your
private? Make it public.
Or I could make it public, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already public.
To give you what happened to me, very similar story. I had gotten a bug in my bonnet. I really wanted the new SDPHP website on Vapor before the meetup yesterday. So last weekend, going into last weekend, I realized that it also needed to be upgraded. I needed to get it to Laravel 6. The Tailwind CSS that I was using on it needed to be upgraded. So I actually spent the weekend upgrading. We did a shift in the exact same thing you're talking about because of dependencies within our deployment. The shift didn't really take that well. So I ended up one by one reinstalling packages to see which ones were breaking.
The shift didn't take well.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that.
I merged the shift. And
okay.
I read everything. I read everything through the documentation. I'm like, okay, this all looks fine and dandy. And I merged the shift and did a composer upgrade. And when I tried to go to the site, just all hell broke loose. Everything was busted, and it was because the dependencies weren't working.
Are you saying SDPHP doesn't go through CI?
I might be saying that. It might be a good a good talk one day to have, but so everything broke, and so I spent the weekend and I came to the same conclusion you came to, Thomas, is there were packages that just really didn't look like they had anything broken in them. The requirements were off.
Yeah.
Some of the packages did have upgrades to them, some didn't. I actually got to contribute to an open source project. If you go to Nova Permissions, I contributed back to the developer, where all he needed to do was upgrade his dependencies on Spotty's permissions, and he was fine. So I just updated his composer.json for him and submitted it to him. But I was the same way. I'm like, oh man, the meetup's this weekend. I'm just gonna fork his project and put it in my repo In worst case scenario, I'll just fall back to my repo and install from there. And fortunately, I was lucky where the next day he just emailed. He said, "Hey man, thanks a lot, appreciate it," and merged my request. But that's a perfect opportunity if you're using packages that just need a composer update, need to have their composer JSON updated, then just do it. Because trust me, if you're using the package and you're on Laravel 6, there's probably a good 100, 200 other people out there in the same boat.
Yeah, the issue for me is that I tend to want to update the namespaces if I'm going to fork something and start developing it or maintaining it on my own. And that's a bit of a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to sit there with repositories records in my Composer JSON that overrides what should be a simple thing to understand. But yeah, I mean, that's my project for tomorrow, is taking these 4 packages and then getting them patched up to 6 support one way or another.
Yeah, we actually have a package out. I mean, nobody uses it but us, but there's a package out because we use UUIDs so much. We created a package for UUIDs and it does some things like on creation, it creates a UUID, but if it has a UUID, it just passes it through. And I had to update that package for Laravel 6. I was like, damn it, I got to update my own package.
Now, another thing in 6, I'm going to put this in the Discord too so you guys can check it out, is this conversation about Predis.
Right, so they replaced the old package that they're using for the Redis implementation.
Now, that's true, but that's not the funny part to me, is if you read this conversation, it's a chain of PRs that take it from an idea into an implementation into a bug fixing state. Because the first PR for deprecating Predis was just saying, hey, here's tagging it as deprecated because it needs to be deprecated because it's not supported anymore.
And first off, we need to applaud the fact that they even went the route of actually deprecating something and not just ripping it out.
Yes, absolutely.
They said you can still use this, but the new default package is this. Please switch over.
Well, that was the second comment. Was maybe if you're going to deprecate it, it shouldn't be the default driver anymore either. So then there was a change to the pull request to remove it from being the default driver.
Was it still the default driver for a while?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then the fourth comment was, okay, well, I'll update the docs. And then the fifth comment was, hey, Horizon is still using Predis. Do you plan on changing it there too? So it was just this sort of chain of idea to action to realization that it might be a problem somewhere else that I absolutely just loved watching.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, so they deprecated it in the framework, and all his supporting little applications still use it. All right, I can see the humor there.
Well, and I started that 6 update today, and I noticed that Scout had jumped from 4 to 7.
Right. That was one of the things I had to update as well.
And I look at the docs for Scout, and it says nothing about anything.
LinkedIn. It fixed LinkedIn, and I only know that because I had to go through it and get it. We have a project we're working on where we had pulled LinkedIn out because it stopped working, and I'm like, I'm not worried about it. And then the client specifically asked for LinkedIn. So I'm like, damn it, I got to figure out why that broke now. And then, fortunately, yeah, Socialite had updated to include it. Oh,
so Scout went from 4 to 7. Sorry. There was no 5 and 6.
No, it went 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Since 5.8. I don't know why or what. I have to applaud the work that's being done on the upgrade guides for Laravel and the diffs and all that stuff you can get, but the stuff for Horizon and Scout on what's changed is non-existent. You don't get a change log for that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Thomas. You're talking about Scout. I was talking about Social. So yeah, apparently they're like just chunking through releases right now and everything.
Yeah, it's great.
That's funny.
Potato in Discord also wants to mention the changes to engine warnings in PHP. So one of the big new RFCs changes how error exceptions are handled and how severity levels are represented. And it's starting to get really into the strict typing area of things. Trying to modify a property of a non-object is currently a warning, and the proposed level is an error exception. And the RFC has all these rationales for why things should be handled differently, why these should be warnings instead of notices. You know, array to string conversion, that should be a warning, not a notice, because it should be more severe when you improperly cast something like that. And it's led into this gigantic conversation in PHP internals about what maintaining PHP even means. And it's titled Changing Fundamental Language Behaviors. And I think right now the conversation is threaded down to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. I think it's like 300 comments now.
All within the past 13 hours?
Yes. And this is just a month after the whole PHP 2.0 thing was proposed, which was the same can of worms, basically.
PHP 2.0, we're talking about?
They were
PHP
talking
plus?
about... Yeah, PHP++.
Plus, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought you were talking about, but the 2.0 threw me off.
And it seems like we can't avoid constantly getting into the same conversation about what PHP is. And I think people are getting bored with PHP because we fixed all the performance issues, and now they want to fix everything else that's ever been perceived as an issue. And you kind of can't do that.
Not easily, that's for sure. Yeah, this is way too much to read. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it goes through all this.
I tried to keep up for a little bit, but I could not maintain it at all. But it's seeing this level of conflict in the PHP internals community is interesting, because it's very much at that boiling point level where you could see someone try to fork PHP and make a big fuss about now it's their thing and they're going to do it the correct way. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen at some point soon. Someone just
they already do that with Hack and
That's a good point.
HHPM.
Yeah.
And they never took off. I mean, people raved about them for a while, but...
And that had Facebook behind it.
Well, but that wasn't the internals guys. That was Hack. That was just Facebook's thing. And they still use it, and it still has its own roadmap that is widely diverged from PHP now. But I wouldn't be surprised to see someone at the higher level in internals actually take ownership of PHP and start doing it their PHP. There's a lot of money in books if you're the one to do it.
Interesting.
So that's the big conflict in the PHP world right now is all that stuff. There is a bit of conflict in the Node world right now. I'm not sure if you follow this at all.
Not one bit.
There is an NPM package called something. It's a long and convoluted story. But there's a very, very popular NPM package that started serving ads during NPM install.
Oh, we're back on this story. This is such an old story, man.
Did you guys cover this last week?
No, we didn't cover it because I thought it had pretty much died off. I didn't. I mean, it's an interesting topic, but yeah, no, let's talk about it if you want to talk about it. So,
the amazing thing is that it didn't.
Terminal. What's that?
The amazing thing is that it didn't die off.
Okay.
So there's a project called Funding, and this library was used to put the ad for LogRocket into this JavaScript package. The package is called Standard, and it's one of the biggest, most popular packages with, 200,000 weekly downloads or something? And in response to this, somebody wrote an ad blocker for the CLI, which is the inevitable endpoint for everything, is there will be an ad blocker for it. But not only that, NPM came out and said, we're going to remove any project that has advertisements in it that's hosted on our system. Which really scared a lot of people, because the idea that all of a sudden packages could just be removed from NPM and break everything is not good.
Especially if they're trying to do it automatically and they're false positives.
Right, and they had a problem with this previously that was with something called left pad, where the package was removed and everyone's NPM broke because it was one of the default includes for everything everywhere. The creator of Standard said, okay, NPM, if you want to pull my ability to make money off of my software development, then knock yourselves out. You're totally entitled to, and watch what happens when the community completely rejects you because you've pulled a package for totally arbitrary reasons and broke everything. And then NPM came back and said, whoa, buddy, hey, we're sorry, that's not what we meant. We just don't like it, but we won't pull your package because of an advertisement.
So what are your opinions on this? And
it's not obtrusive. It's
not. I actually haven't seen the ad. I mean, but there is precedence. But even John was talking about how PHP Unit has a Patreon ad. If you install a PHP Unit, was it PHP Unit, John?
Yeah. Yep. Pretty sure it was.
If you install PHP Unit and you open up your PHP info page in the browser.
Yes, it does.
There's a Patreon ad there. And
so does Xdebug now.
Right, you see it in
I think it was
Xdebug. Yeah, I think it was Xdebug. And you see it, like, occasionally I'll do a composer install and it'll say, thanks for using my package. If you want to support me, here's my Patreon link. I mean, it's not completely uncommon. I've never seen, like, an ad where, because they place the ad, somehow that's calling home and making money for them. But I never saw what that ad looked like. So yeah, I mean, developers they need to make money, and how else are they going to do it? Well,
Yeah, if it's what I'm thinking, it's just within a terminal, right? As you do a npm install, and they change the background text or whatever and just make it stand out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You're muted, Thomas.
There's a ZDNet article, and it just says, LogRocket, stop guessing when bugs happen. LogRocket lets you replay what users do on your web app or website, helping you reproduce bugs and fix issues faster. And then it's a link to LogRocket. It's
And
totally
they just got more
innocuous.
free advertising from us.
I mean, in theory, I don't know if anyone who gets a shout out from us counts as advertising.
You know
course
who
it does.
does? Our Patreons. That's who gets a shout out from us, and we appreciate your support, Patreons.
I was thinking as you're telling the story, like, what jerks have a Patreon account? Oh yeah, patreon.com/phpugly.
What was that link again?
www.patreon.com/phpugly.
And then we want to say thank you to Buttery Compass, David, Frank, Greg, Hans, Boss John, No Wizard, Sean, Ryan, Jess, Kim, Tony, Matt, Marcus, Jeff, and Shelf. Don't forget Shelf.
I like what one of the shows I watched. They give a shout out to the top 5, and they say it at the beginning of the show. You know, we check it halfway through the show. We shout out the top 5, trying to get people to hurry up and get their Patreon in there. It's a competition, you know, top 5 only.
Whatever it takes to get people to give you money, I guess. All right, Thomas, I want to change topic. Can I ask? I got a question I've been dying to ask.
Oh, I've got one for him too.
Ooh.
I could go first. I've been politely sitting here quiet, not talking.
Yeah, go for it. I'm
So
back. I've been pent up for like 3 months, not talking to you guys. So
Yeah.
stuff to say.
So first off, I don't know if you guys have seen this. There's this thing called deep fakes out there. And
Oh boy.
oh my god, I have gotten so addicted to these. There's a YouTube channel out called Control Shift Fakes, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And they
just for reference, when someone calls them deep fakes, it's usually in reference to pornography. So saying you're a huge fan of deep fakes without explaining it much further comes off a little weird.
Okay, I'm glad you told me that because I do want to get there. But so right now, or at least my understanding of a deep fake is where, digital enhancement and manipulating images have become so advanced that they can put the face of somebody completely different on a different person, and because they have
In a
so many
video.
different, right, in a moving video
And
So-
audio.
well, they don't typically do audio. So
This
here's
week, a CEO at a bank was defrauded of $220,000 when someone deep faked his voice, called his assistant, and told him to wire transfer money to an offshore account.
deep faking a voice is just impersonating a voice. That
It was a
let me-
machine learning algorithm.
Let me stick with my topic here.
Go ahead.
If
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind.
All right.
So this Control Shift base, they have Jim Carrey doing what is it? The Shining. They have Jim Carrey doing The Shining. They have they have Freddie Mercury deep fake. I mean, just I'm so addicted to these videos now. So I sit here and every time they post a new video, I'm typically watching it, and they're just so good. Oh, they did Tom Cruise in American Psycho, and it's like there's some anomalies that happen. Like you say, wait a minute, something just happened. It doesn't look right. But for the most part, you would honestly look at that and say, holy crap, Tom Cruise is an American Psycho. And so it's interesting that you brought up porn because, of course, that's where my mind goes. Because I'm thinking the porn industry has got to be looking into it, right? I mean, there is like, so.
I cannot comment on very specific parts of that, but
Yes.
I can say that the industry is terrified of the legal ramifications of this technology and is not touching with a 10-foot pole.
Okay, I had a feeling you were going to say that, and I was thinking that yes, maybe that would be misinterpreted. So I was not implying that the porn industry would take like an A-list actor and deep fake their face onto a porn star. But what I was thinking is because the porn industry is, there's something to be said about having diverse, a lot of a lot of options, right? I mean, options.
Sure.
Different people, different faces. There have got to be people in the world who would be willing to sell their likeness to a porn company as long as they don't have to do the porn. And then you have your quote unquote physical actors
No.
who do all the naughtiness, but you can change the faces and you have different faces, so it's not the same actor in
Nope.
15 movies.
Actors
Okay.
would never go for it. To the actors in the industry, their face and beyond that, their makeup is their brand. This is something I haven't gone into a lot of detail with guys in the past over, but these actresses have a look that involves a lot of doing their own makeup for film. So when you think of somebody having their makeup done for a movie, you know there's these layers of caked on thick makeup so it picks on the camera differently so that it looks correct on film. You know, Tom Cruise is not going on set without makeup even for an action scene. He's always wearing lots of makeup. He has to look exactly the way he wants to present himself. And for actresses in my industry, that's the step before you start filming anything, is you figure out what you look like on film and you make sure that you always look that way. So it's a makeup regimen that does not change, or if it does change, it's slowly and over time, but it's their brand. And there are no actresses who would willingly give up their brand to have someone else's face put on them.
So even one that might not get as many roles.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody looking for work. You're saying that the company wants so-and-so in the video, but they won't do the actual next part, but they're willing to license their face. The company would find somebody that would be able to do it.
Right? That's how I feel about it.
But this happened with somebody in politics not that long ago. Like, her face was put into a porn.
Oh, yeah.
Baked into it. And I can't remember who it was now, but it's happened where people have done it to maliciously harm candidates or a person's reputation.
That's one thing, is that it's not a cheap process. Rendering these machine learning algorithms, you have to have a whole giant GPU array working for a long time to generate these maps that the machine learning algorithm uses.
Yeah, but that technology is getting cheaper and cheaper by the day, man. I see YouTuber. Well, there's a goddamn YouTube channel of a guy doing it. And
Yeah.
This guy isn't a big company. Corridor Digital, or another YouTube channel I follow, Corridor something.
Well, Corridor Digital did it, and in one of their videos where they were doing Tom Cruise, they explained that it would cost them $200 in electricity to do it.
Again, all those costs can go down. It's no
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, I think right now it's a flash in the pan thing.
I just run an extension cord over to my neighbor's house.
There's definitely going to be legislation result regarding this kind of stuff. There is a Chinese face swapping app that people are getting very upset about because it's very, very fast, because they have it working with a limited set of pre-calculated videos from popular movies. So it's like 1 second, and now you're the guy in Titanic. But there's so many privacy concerns. There's so many security concerns.
Yeah.
To the extent that when this became an issue a couple years ago, Jordan Peele released a video of him doing his voice impression of Barack Obama, and then deepfaked the facial movements onto a video of Obama, and it was a convincing video of Obama giving a speech about deepfakes. So there are big players that are affected by this and that are trying to get it legislated as quick as possible. And fortunately for people like me who care about privacy rights, it's getting worked into a lot of conversations about facial recognition technology in police and, civic enforcement. So I don't know if that answers a question or if you had a question, but
No, I asked the question. I didn't agree with your answer. I agree more with what John said. I think, yes, absolutely. I can totally see this becoming a thing that people do, but I don't think it's going to go away. I think this cat's out of the bag, and there's no way to.
Just get worse.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally understand the privacy, legal, security, all those issues, and I'm very curious about how we're going to address that, because I've just been blown away with how good these deepfakes are getting and how quickly they can be produced.
Do you remember the O.J. Simpson trial?
I wasn't born yet. I'm not sure what I remember reading about it.
One of the things that was in the newspapers very frequently during the O.J. Simpson trial was a picture of him walking in fuzzy ducky slippers, because it was the first time that the idea of a picture being photoshopped had been introduced into court records. They were saying that he was wearing Bruno Magli shoes, and they had pictures of him wearing Bruno Magli shoes, but his legal team showed that you could Photoshop any shoes onto any picture because this new technology allowed you to fake anything, and it's undetectable. I think we're at that same phase or stage again with faking content, where, yeah, the deepfake stuff, it's very convincing for us, but the more prevalent it becomes, the less convincing it will be to just the casual viewer. You'll see it and go, oh, that's fake. That's obviously fake. That's not right.
When you saw, if you're old enough, when you saw Star Wars for the first time, it was absolutely engaging, right? Everything looked so real. It was, top of the line science, top of the line special effects. And now you go back and you look at Star Wars, it's like, I can't believe I ever fell for this stuff. Like, I can't believe any of this stuff looked real to me. Right, John? Do you remember Star Wars, John?
I wasn't born yet. I don't think I've ever watched Star Wars.
What is wrong with you?
Was that the one with Captain Vader?
Captain Vader, yeah, it's the one with Captain Vader.
Or is it Darth Kirk?
I'm okay with you not watching Star Wars, but you have got to watch Fight Club, for God's sake.
Okay, I've seen Star Wars. I have definitely not seen Fight Club.
Fight Club doesn't hold up as well as you would hope it did.
I love Fight Club. What are you talking about? I still watch
it. I love it, but the last time I watched it, I went, oh, wow, that's super early 2000s.
Maybe, but I still like it. I even know how it ends now, and I still like it.
How does it end? never seen it.
Well, you should
Don't
see it
tell
at
me
least
because
once.
I really don't care. I've tried it. It just doesn't interest me.
Fight Club?
I'm
You
a
tried
lover,
watch Fight Club?
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Oh. Deep you as my CEO.
I just never had an interest in it.
Are you guys ready for some doom and gloom?
Yes. Is that the right answer?
Done with doom and gloom. I thought we were replacing with PHP and porn, which sucks.
Doom and gloom. I woke up the other morning to a notification on my phone that I had won a prize and simply
Congratulations.
needed to follow this link. And I got rid of the notification, and it popped up again. And so I looked at where this notification was coming from, and it was coming from my calendar app, my Google Calendar. I was being spammed through Google Calendar. Have you guys seen this at all?
I have not seen this.
No news to me.
It turns out that the default settings in Google Calendar allow anyone to invite you to any event. And whether or not you have accepted the invitation to the event, it adds the event to your calendar.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, simply by knowing my email address, they added me to an event that had a link to a virus/spam thing. And I was suddenly inundated and had no way from my actual mobile device to change the setting to hide these things. So you have to go on to Google Calendar on the web and open up your settings. And you have to select do not automatically add. Default guest permissions only show invitations to which I have responded. But boy, what a connivingly shitty way to harass people.
Fascinating.
And the interesting thing to me was this just started this month. This was a thing that's always been an available issue. This is always a problem that people could take advantage of. But it's just someone on September 3rd started doing it. I'm fascinated the way that these sort of trends flow. Because when I first got the message, if I searched for it, I didn't get anything. But within a couple hours, Krebs on Security had issued a blog post showing you how it's happening and why it's happening and how to remove it.
So I have started going through my calendars now to make that change.
Yeah, so if you're a listener and you have Google Calendar, go through, make sure that you're not automatically adding events, because when it's connected to your Android phone, it will start harassing you on a minute-by-minute basis. And from your phone, you cannot change the settings you need to change. So there you go. I wish I had more doom and gloom for you, but that's all I got.
I've got way too many Google accounts to go through and make this change. Kind of a pain. If Google would fix their stupid crap where things don't work with a G Suite account.
I know we gotta go through and try to get our calendars working again, because everywhere I read, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, this works now." I'm like, I can't get it to work. All right, John.
Like,
you need to take us,
Google
take us
Home
out,
or
take us out of the show. You said you had a ton of stuff. Let's end with one topic from you. Let's go.
I don't have a ton of stuff. I have nothing. What episode is this? I don't even know. Like
163.
160. Well on our way to 200, and some would say 162 too many.
That's just you that says that. Like every episode. Vapor is live. I know we talked about that. Eric, you've been in the early access for Laravel Vapor, but yesterday Vapor went public. So you can go to vapor.laravel.com now and do all your Laravel to serverless platform
You can just
stuff.
sign up for it now. You don't have to.
You can just open signups.
Yeah, cool.
What was
I'm happy with it.
the issue you were with DNS? If you do a CNAME, point to
Right. So
don't point to the vanity URL.
right.
Point directly to the.
Well, Vapor gives you a vanity URL, so you have access to everything you deploy without the public necessarily getting to it. But if you want to CNAME it to a URL, you have to add the configuration to your Vapor YAML file, and then when you do your deployment, at the end of the deployment, and this doesn't appear anywhere in the web interface, only during a deployment. At the end of the deployment, it will tell you, it'll give you a CloudFront URL to CNAME with. So you have to CNAME to that CloudFront. And I don't know what you're...
Between deployments? Or is it static?
It hasn't changed for us. I got to assume it's static.
It has to, but the fact that you said you didn't see it until you deployed was kind of weird. But I guess you're deploying to the vanity URL for testing. You finally get your CloudFront, and then you can get everything else set up.
I still don't understand why it's done in the interface. So there's the web interface that has pretty much all your information, as well as it ties directly into Route 53, which is AWS's AWS's DNS server. So the fact that it doesn't automatically create a record there for you, I don't know. I don't know why that doesn't happen. But yeah, we figured that out. That was the only issue I have right now with it, and I'm sure it's our issue. I gotta go through the code and probably clean up the code. Is when we store things. So if you upload an avatar, it stores in S3, and that works fine. And the image is actually accessible through a signed URL, but the image isn't accessible as just a public image. So I need to go through the code and figure out where we screwed up with that and fix that. But besides that, yeah, there are very few changes I had to make to a code base that wasn't originally targeted for Vapor. It was a code base that we had a couple of developers work on, and I think ultimately I had to change a couple of helpers from the URL helper to an asset helper, which is a big thing. So where a developer might have said URL/images/avatar/whatever, that needs to become an asset helper because all your stuff is now stored in S3. I changed those, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of code changes I needed to make to get it work, and it just works really well. I'm very happy with that. I want to deploy. I have another much more complex app that we're talking to the client about potentially deploying. I really want to get my teeth into that one because that one really addresses a lot of the complexity of a big application, and I really want to get that one deployed out there and see what it looks like. I'm thinking about deploying it anyways, just deploying it from my machine out there, but I don't know. I still kind of feel better if I had the blessing from the client that they're okay with it.
We did get the blessing from them.
Did we? Did
Yeah.
Did I miss an email or something?
It was in that Slack conversation. As long as we have a disaster recovery, like because we don't have the experience of a large application in a serverless environment, as long as we can roll back, deploy an EC2 instance or whatever, they were fine trying it.
Oh, I missed that. All right. Well, I guess I know what I'm doing next. I'll probably deploy it on our Vapor account, and then once we get the kinks worked out, ask them to sign up for a Vapor account and deploy it on theirs. Oh, I wonder how that works. Oh, wow, I wonder if I can actually have two Vapor accounts. I'll have to ask Taylor how I switch between multiple vapors. That would be interesting. But yeah, cool, man. I guess I'm doing that next week.
Oh, we know what you're going to be talking about next week.
Vapor, baby.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our Patreons.
That's a Laravel thing.
What's that?
Eric was witness to my Laravel headache this week. But
What'd
we've
you
already
do?
shut down the show.
This is so weird. John keeps talking. It's like we're so over time and John's still talking. Go ahead, John.
I want to hear this.
My little Laravel application is running on Docker in production, and we could not get it to freaking log out the syslog. How long did we spend on that? 2 hours?
You guys were on it for a long time, and John he rarely engages me with this particular client, and he even reached out to me because, hey, how do you do this? And I basically told him what they had already been doing. And he's like, no, we're doing that. It's not working. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I don't know why that wouldn't work. John knows why now.
Yeah, it basically came down to Docker was only logging to CloudWatch on standard out, but standard out is tied per process. So standard out for PHP was going to a console or going basically to nowhere. And it took us 2 hours to figure out that we needed a separate log file going to, it was a single driver going to dev standard out, I guess. And it took way too long to figure that out.
Sounds like you need to write a blog post.
It wasn't a Laravel issue, right? It was a Docker.
Right. It was understanding, like, the person who set this up, the deployments, thought all syslog was going to CloudWatch. So that's where we kept spending all this time, was getting syslog to work. And it's like, why isn't this working? And he was trying to do it from the command line, and that's finally when we realized something was off. And then it just kept going down this rabbit hole. And yeah, long story short, if you're trying to do it in Docker, there's your workaround. Fun stuff. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Why did you guys keep this going for so long?
I don't even remember now.
I gotta go to bed.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been episode 163. Thank you especially to our Patreons. We love and appreciate you. I'm Tom Rideout.
I did 5 pull-ups in a row today. You know
Nice.
how amazing that is? See,
I can't do one.
I'm John Congdon. I bet on this whole food plant-based diet you're going to be on, you'll be doing them in no time.
I am, as of yet, with no cast, Eric Van Johnson. We'll see how long that lasts.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Oh, you're supposed to point? You guys didn't tell me that. Keep it ugly.
I point, and then I saw Thomas pointing. It seemed like a good idea. I don't, man.
I'm confused. I don't know how to do this anymore.
Alrighty, I'm killing my local recording.
Feeling morning. Wait, were we supposed to be recording?
Turn off. Well, that was fun.
I'm glad I made it through it. I didn't know if my voice was going to hold out or not.
So, Crocs in the kitchen. Thomas.
Crocs in the kitchen?
Yeah. YouTube channel. Check it out.
Is it good?
It's not bad. This couple.
So it is.
I like them.
They're like the PHP.
No, I mean the food.
What?
The food.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Well, if you're into plant-based diets, yeah.
Yeah, but not.
Well, you need to be.
I don't wanna.
I like them. They've lost a combined 500 pounds in the past year, switching to this whole food plant-based diet.
Hey Thomas, I had a cousin who did heroin, and she dropped like 230 pounds. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's supposed to be bad for your diastolic though.
eh, you look good. I mean, that's the important.
Yeah, yeah, I have to not die. It's super cool.
Not dying is super cool. Yeah, I agree. Well, good luck on the change. I know it can be hard.
The first step is working out.